Good day, good night, good evening, and welcome to our 143rd podcast. It's a new year, and Realz can count for sure this time around. And the name of today's podcast is Monfils is winning with Wakanda.
Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever. But where the fuck is Federer? That's what I'm asking.
No, we're not doing that. It's Black History Month. We're not doing that.
You're absolutely right.
I mean,
We had a horrible Black History Month thus far.
Exactly.
So you know what? This is, you know, right? I'm sorry. Take two.
Forever.
This is 143rd podcast, and this is all about Monfils. It's going to be blackety black up in here. I'm telling you.
You know who also knows that it's going to be blackety black? Svitolina.
Ooh.
Svitolina.
I'm going to leave that one alone because what's coming to mind, it is not Christian, and it is Sunday. It's somebody's Sabbath. So before I go any further, let me introduce my co-hostesses with the mostesses. I am nothing without these ladies. We have Andrine from Solely Tennis Travels, who I believe is where she lives, where she pays rent, right?
Yep. Today.
That's true. Always say, right?
No, where's she gonna be tomorrow?
When will this be released?
See, she's got
tomorrow.
plans. See,
on the Monday. It will be released on Monday.
Okay, I do have a plan. It's not a big deal though. I'm gonna spend the weekend. I'm gonna spend the weekend in Mexico City with a friend.
See? I told you. She always
does. And as a result,
by way of Toronto, she's gonna be in Toronto first.
No. Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna see if I can possibly go to one session or one day of the tournament in Acapulco. I'm in Mexico. It's just close by, so I'm gonna see if I can do that.
Okay,
I'll have to report.
We all aspire to live her life. I'm telling you.
All of us.
Not even. I'm just saying.
I'm pretty sure that our last podcast we said this is what Andrine does. She's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm on a plane and I'm going to another country."
We had no idea this was going to happen.
We had no clue.
Tell us.
She didn't tell us anything.
We would have been seeing the Instagram pictures and be like,
"Oh, Andrine's somewhere."
No, you know how I do. I'm gonna email you on the flight deck and be like, "I'm heading out."
No.
That's
not true. That's not true. This is what she does. She's having a conversation between just like, "What's all that noise?" "Oh, I'm at the airport." "Doing what?" "Oh, I'm heading someplace." Who does that? Like, it's almost like she lives at the airport, right? That's when she has time to talk to
people. Can I borrow your frequent flyer miles, please?
Can I tell you though? I think this is. I'm gonna ground this in some sad childhood, probably mythology. You know, back in the day when I was in Jamaica, I think my family always said you can't let people know your business too much, and it's not really. It's because people
makes sense.
No, because people are always.
It is a Caribbean thing. It is.
Yeah, right.
I can attest to that.
People are like, "Oh, they're gonna put a hex on you, girl." So
I don't know what the hex thing, but it just don't like.
So really, what Andrine is saying is she doesn't trust either one of us.
No, it's not like that. But I mean it in the sense that I just generally keep things until it's actually happening. Right. Because it's like I just situated that. I was like, wait a minute, I think I really do that. And I started thinking about it. I think my very first context with travel was when I was coming to the United States for the first time. And no joke, we didn't tell anyone until like 2 days before. This is when I had not seen my mom for my mom left when I was 3 and I didn't see her until I was 10. So I legit waited to tell my relatives I was going to America within like a week's time.
Oh my God.
Look at that. That's a 10 years old. Look at that determination.
Well, we know that shit's not going to change then because this has been going on for a long time.
You know what? It is. It was so funny. Now, oh my gosh, I'm making this connection on air, really. But it was just something my family said. You don't let anybody know your business because, I mean, you know, they in Haiti, what is it that they have in Haiti? We have what? Obeah? I think we still have Obeah too.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's along the same
line. So people are always like, don't share your business because not everybody always wishes you luck. So it's like,
wow.
So now we know Andrine travels, just not her business.
That's right.
Generally, that is very true.
All right.
So,
that was
Janina, how are you doing? Have any childhood trauma or jinx or story you want to share with us?
Listen, I'm not going to be in Acapulco next week. I'm not.
Are you sure?
You
might.
Yeah. I'm sure. I actually I don't know that I'm gonna be going anywhere because I looked outside today and it's like snowing like batshit crazy. So maybe I'm gonna be in the blizzard stuck in my house. I don't know.
Ooh. Is it that means that's gonna be snowing in New York City? And
That's correct. It's headed your way, boo.
And here's the thing. So I needed to get new snowshoes. So I got really cheap. And I wore them for the first time this week. And they're lovely. They fit perfectly. Just they don't work on non-snowy grounds. So I'm on the train slipping. I'm just like, for fuck, what's wrong with me? I can't, like, this is insane.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't want any snow. I just want it to be like really cool and non-wet for a long time because my shoes are cute. Anyway, so you're not going anywhere, Janina, but no childhood trauma, no story you got to offload on.
No, I don't need to share any of that today. Thank you for asking.
Yes. Oh, listen, I held out for years and shared a bunch in just 10 minutes.
I'm excited.
Black History Month. It's Black History Month. And once they're sharing positive things and growth is involved, that's all we can ask for.
That's all we can ask of Black History Month, to be honest.
Exactly. And I see someone said we're going to do this over in July. I really hope we do this.
I saw that proposal. I agree. I think it should run from June all the way so we encompass July 4th party.
And Juneteenth, right?
There,
we should have June and July. We should have 2 months. You should definitely have 2 months.
Yeah, this do-over is necessary. Whew.
Yeah. So, and there's the homosexuals of the podcast, though I don't think homosexuals of color should be on people's agenda right now. Because
you're right. Oops, sorry about that. Ooh,
girl.
It's been a bad week for that. Ooh.
Man, listen.
Anyway. So, ladies.
Let's not go there. Yeah.
Let's not go there. Okay. Because we only got a podcast for tennis and biathlon is coming up soon. So.
So we're only going to be talking to you folks for an hour and we've already wasted 10 minutes of it, just to be clear.
People love that. Don't you judge us for that. Come on now. This is going to be blackity black. You know black people how we are.
I can't believe sharing ourselves is a waste of time, Janina.
I know.
I won't share again then.
Oh, yes, you will.
And actually, if in the spirit of sharing, let me just share the fact that we're late recording. It's because of Janina. I'll just share that.
I was just so exhausted by that Monfils win, I had to lay down. I took a nap.
That excuse won't work because your name is not Andrine. Only Andrine's gonna be tired from Monfils. You don't get that excuse.
Oh.
So are we starting there? I mean, it feels like if we start there, it's all downhill. Or should we end there?
We should probably end there. We should end there. So let's talk about Resultz. What the hell's been going on in the world of tennis? Realz?
I mean, let me just say, maybe this is bad. Well, let me preface by saying that one of the reasons is that a lot of the cool website I used to go to somehow just don't seem to work. I don't have unlimited access to tennis as I used to. I'm a broke bitch. I can't pay for tennis TV. And I don't know where the fuck WTA matches are anymore. So
you're on Tennis Channel.
Don't have Tennis Channel. So there was a situation with that. But I do think on the women's side, there hasn't much been going on. I think we spoke about the Newport match and we spoke about St. Petersburg. But on the women's side, you had Fed Cup and you had Doha, which just concluded yesterday. And Elise Mertens beat Simona Halep for her first premier, whatever, WTA special level, mandatory, non-mandatory, whatever they want to call it. Title, her first big title, which is not a major. She beat Halep in 3 sets. Halep was up a set on a break, but decided not really interested in this. This isn't Fed Cup, so not today. So let me have Elise Mertens, who's complaining about back injury and had a medical timeout. Pause, asterisk, and then you came out to win the thing. And then Simona Halep was just like, "Yeah, fuck this coach." It was only for a week. Bye, boo. Well, that's pretty much what happened on the WTA.
That's the best recap you've ever given.
Wait, that's not on the WTA side. I guess that's true.
We've been having a lot of us
really enjoyed that. Can we just keep moving right on?
We can.
Yeah.
Can we give props to Simona for getting over her Svitolina hump though? I mean, she couldn't look quite the final, but
Monfils wore her out.
And I was about to say that. I mean,
no, those don't go together.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I was just saying, Svitolina, you're picking up the D, but you're dropping the W's, girl. Like Simona this was your forte. You don't do well at the majors, but at the premier, mandatory, non-mandatory, girl, this is your cash cow. I was really surprised you let Simona run away with this.
She's distracted.
And then she could have handled Mertens in that final, because that would have been a little bit of a gift, I think. But
I know she would not have dropped the ball on that one. Definitely not. But hey, you live and you learn, right? I mean, just like what a time you live in when Svitolina is losing vulture tournaments, gimme tournaments, and Monfils is winning. I mean, Black History Month for you, right? We're winning this one. I mean, like, positive, while the negative.
Positively.
Actually, I guess they have. I mean, she would have won. I mean, I didn't realize how embarrassing. I totally forgot that Elise Mertens beat Svitolina in the Australian Open last year.
Oopsie.
So that wasn't a gimme either, but I just thought the occasion.
Yeah,
This was where Svitolina she get lost at the majors. You know, that's not her. You know, she's Alex Zverev of the WTA. You know what I mean? And
I don't know.
Being so
do you know what's so funny? It's so strange you say that, because I actually have a higher regard for Svitolina's chances than I do Zverev.
I mean, of course we do, but I'm just saying that.
You asshole.
But I'm just saying the sentiment. We're not doing stat for stat, okay? We're not doing the pure number. But just what usually happens, right? They take out the big players, they jump over a huge hurdle and then trip over a stick. You know what I mean? That's what they do.
I got it.
Or in Zverev's case, you trip over an asparagus. So.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I can't wait.
Okay, moving on. So in the Fed Cup side, the ladies have their Fed Cup is the same as it was for years gone by. The ladies don't play 16; they go right to the quarterfinal stage. And on the quarterfinal stage, on the main world group stage, Belgium lost to France 1-3. Germany lost to Belarus, who had Azarenka, but she played double, so they had Sasnovich, I think it was. And they had, what's her name? The other lady, who's supposed to be a big name. Oh my God, Sabalenka. I think Sabalenka played. So they beat them full love.
I know, that's a brutal loss. Sabalenka beat Sigmund, and it was all like straight sets, I think it was. Oh,
right. Well, Germany wasn't playing with what's her name? Kerber was a no-show. The American lost a, I guess, tough one, if you cared, to Australia 2-3. And the defending champion, Czech Republic, didn't have Petra. Apparently Petra was showing up everywhere except for Fed Cup. Just saying.
I think she was cheering though, which is half the battle.
Yeah, but they didn't need you there, girl. They needed you on the court. That's just say it. That's why they needed you.
That's a really great win for the Romanians, though. That tie, I couldn't watch any part of that tie, but it seemed like that tie had all the drama that you would.
Yeah, definitely. Because you know how Simone, you know how the Romanians come out just for anything Romanian, right? They're just like, oh, there's a Romanian here. Like, yeah, romaine lettuce. We're here. It's just lettuce. Shit. Oh, okay. Cheers. Just watch this Rome. They're all there.
I love it.
And you know how Simone
is there a country listserv? There has to be. I need to know how that works out. That's really good. I mean, their ability to show up for their players wherever is amazing. There has to be like a weird sports listserv that you sign up for.
The announcements? Well, maybe. But I mean, the other thing too, Simona has made it her pride and joy and has made it a proper priority. She just like, I won the French Open, don't care about anything else until the Olympics. So she's all about country. So she's definitely, and next year is the Olympics. So she's definitely trying to get Romania solidly in there. So watch out. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry. What's your name again? The Puerto Rican girl? Puig? Simone is coming for your crown, girl. She's definitely coming for
well, Puig's already secured a coach, so she's on it.
Oh, that is true.
She's gonna defend that Olympic title like tomorrow.
She's gonna be the semi Andy Murray of the WTA. See what I did there, people? See what I did there? But anyway, so that's what pretty much happened. And so the semifinals is basically gonna be France versus Romania and Australia versus Belarus.
Let me see. Do I have any stake in that? Do I care?
I was about to say I don't care, but you know what? I'm gonna put it how you did. Do I have any stake in this? That's how I'm gonna put it.
No. The answer is no.
So if we don't, what do you think the neutrals would want? "Quote unquote."
I mean, if Vika is playing, the sentimental for me is gonna be Belarus. Belarus versus Romania would be interested in terms of like drama if Vika is playing and playing well.
Okay.
And Sabalenka.
And then she could have the narrative that the Fed Cup transformed her entire approach.
I mean, you know how we do the Davis Cup weave, girl. Like this is, I mean, how appropriate would this be?
Never needed a Fed Cup weave, though.
We've never needed a Fed Cup weave, but hey, I mean, it's 2019 and time for something new. I mean,
but you know what, though? Seriously, it's so interesting because everybody's been talking about why hasn't Fed Cup transformed, and it sounds like they didn't actually need a transformation.
It works perfectly fine.
It's working for them.
It's really working for them. So
their top players mostly show up.
Well, also they cut out a round. There are only 3 rounds for the world group. They don't have this drama of like 4 rounds when the men do.
So I feel like that was good news for them because I mean, on the weekend that Fed Cup was happening, it was the only tennis thing that was being referenced, which I think was, it's a small world for sure, but it was definitely a big item in the small world.
Right. And it also meant in the world group playoff, wherever it was, it meant I think Italy saw the return of Fed Cup stalwart Sarah Irani, Janina's favorite friend, but that didn't help because
pasta maker. So
and
I hope to God she wasn't in charge of dinner.
Little did we know. Well, there was no celebratory dinner because she lost. Bencic and her squad was just like, no, girl. And little did we know that Sarah Irani was missing from the tour. I just thought she was just, just low ranking.
I thought she retired, man.
Roberta Vinci pushed her off a cliff, but turns out she was serving an extension on a ban.
Yeah.
They extended the ban. They were like, yeah, girl, that pasta. No, girl.
I'm glad they didn't buy that story.
That sounds al dente, boo. And we're not. It doesn't sound al dente. And we're not eating our uncooked pasta, girl. Like, bye, boo. Arrivederci.
You got to go for the Fed Barilla pasta.
But and surprisingly, no one said anything. I mean, Sarah Irani is no major winner, but
they've said there was. I mean, we've been talking about it for a while. I just think we just kind of put her off our radar. There was chatter about it when it happened.
No, I mean, there was chatter when they extended the ban.
Yeah, the extension was lost a little bit in the
right.
Clearly, Realz missed it.
But maybe right. I mean, I missed it. I think we missed the extension. We
missed the extension. We definitely heard about there was this bad because there was a lot of fear around how could this happen. It was almost accidentally revealed. But anyway, so the ladies have much to look forward to. We have Dubai is coming up, which is usually a hot stake tournament. The world number 1 is there. Naomi Osaka. I think Halep is there for now. We don't know if she might pull out. I think Kerber is there. Muguruza is there. So it should be on paper. It looks like a very, very solid tournament.
Didn't Muggs lose today? No, I'm not gonna say that.
No, she didn't.
She came back and won.
She came back and won.
She was. I'm looking a mess, but that's typical, right?
That girl, Yastremka. Yes, I think it's a D, so I'm gonna guess that the first name might be Daria. Yes, we get the names wrong sometimes. She is pretty solid. She might be someone to watch, and it seems as though
she is.
Bouchard has learned to play tennis again.
Yes,
to be concerned about. So she's definitely in to the second round. I think she's gonna play Halep next. So girl.
Oh my.
Oh, the girl's name is Diana.
Diana. Oh.
But the D-A-Y. Yeah, D-A-Y.
Oh, okay.
Diana, so cool. Ukrainian play. Oh, she's in the Svitolina family. Ukrainian.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So Svitolina, if you're not trying to collect these purses and these titles, your homegirl is gonna snatch them for you. So
that's Trumka's coming. That's
she's coming, okay? Until Serenko, that sliding into these majors second week might not happen so easily anymore.
That's great.
So yeah.
Do you know?
And Bencic looked like she's coming up. I saw her match against Tedesca, so I'm excited for that. She is looking fit, and she's definitely injury free so far. You know, and so there might be good things to look forward to in the WTA.
Well, there always is. Look at you.
If we can see matches, that's what I mean. If we can see matches, you know.
You know what? Fortunately,
I watched one today.
Yes, it's been wonderful on my.
It's been on Tennis Channel. Tennis Channel also is like covering the smaller events a lot, it seems, so far this year too, which is weird to me.
It's weird too, but you know what? I still think they just cut. I mean, I don't know. It's so difficult because of the nature of tennis. It's so difficult to cover a tournament when you have both the men and the women going on at the same time. I always feel like one part of the audience is going to be upset.
Yeah, I think tennis is supposed to allow to give you options though. Like if you switch on because the camera is there.
No,
well, if you want to pay for their plus package,
that's the only thing you have. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's how that works.
Yeah, it's super difficult for them to do a compelling coverage, though. They just can't quite figure out how to keep it going.
Yeah, they're jumping all over the place.
and according to the Twitter crowd, they always pick the time when the match is most exciting.
Exactly.
You know what? That's true. That's true.
So weird. I noticed that. I was like, wait a minute. Why would you switch from a match point situation in one match to the start of a first set?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so weird. Like, what are we gonna miss? The coin toss? The changeover? Like,
it's a big deal, right?
I think they must schedule it ahead, right? And then instead of just being sort of really quick on the draw and be like, you know what, let's stay through this, they just go with the schedule that they have.
But I really think it matters because it's not like the commentators are in the place generally, right? They're generally not at the tournament, physically at the tournament. So it's not like you gotta make.
Yeah, it's behind the scenes though, right?
Yeah, it's not like you have to pay the man and be like, okay, I'm gonna make sure this motherfucker works today. Okay, like I'm not gonna let him off for half an hour where he's just like the match is happening and he doesn't get to talk. It's just like no, finish up a match. You know what I mean? And also, we live in 2019. You can do picture in picture. You know what I mean?
I think they try to do the split screen, and the split screen is difficult.
But you don't have to do split screen. You could put the smaller things at the bottom, the one that's just at the bottom. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
I don't want that either.
What do you want, Janina?
You know what? So you know what? Then turn off your TV.
Channel, I want Tennis Channel 1, 2, 3, and 4, kind of like ESPN, and then be able to go to where I want to go and have it fill up my whole fucking screen. That's what I want.
But you know what happens, right? So what happens is that I know what you're talking about, like ESPN Plus, where you switch from different court. It takes time for them to load up.
No. When you actually pay for TV, and you have cable or satellite, ESPN has multiple channels. There's ESPN 1, there's 2, there's 3 that you could actually change the channel. That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about switching streams. So Tennis Channel might want to think about, because really, I mean, for me, it's a top tier channel, so you pay more than extra for it. Give me everything that people online get. Come on, at least almost everything.
True, like a split. Like I would. I mean, obviously, and let's not go automatically with the gendered split. You don't have to have Tennis Channel 1 for men, Tennis Channel 2 for women.
Oh yeah, that's what I was wondering about. That's what I was thinking.
No, I mean that would listen. It'll complicate the narrative and it'll make things get all crazy because one day somebody will be watching all of women's matches and all the guys are going to be really upset about that. So
I'm very confused why this is not a problem, a situation that has been solved already, because NFL does this quite nicely. It's when it comes to NBA, because we know the schedule ahead of time. Like, it's not like it's going to be a surprise. Like, tournament people spend a lot of time and effort, organizing the schedule and, a schedule. So we know what people are going to be. And if you think it's worth the interest, you should really give people, because you never know which match is going to be interesting. You can't predict this kind of thing, So I'm surprised they haven't figured out options is really the key to success here.
Well, we've just now gotten them back on the TV, so that's a baby step.
Okay,
So
that is true.
we'll
True.
move. We'll just
Small
go.
miracle. Small miracle.
Do you guys want to round out with women's news and then move into the men, or
Yeah, let's do that. Let's just dive in and talk about Osaka.
and you sound as
Well,
exhausted about it as
and
everyone.
exciting as she is, I'm telling
Well,
you.
you know, here's the thing.
She's spreading the love and the excitement.
My problem is Osaka's not. Oh God, this is gonna sound horrible. She's not really that big of a deal yet. She's no different than anybody else on tour. Has she won the last 2 majors? Yeah. But you know what? There are lots of women out there playing right now, floating around with 2 majors, right?
And she's number one.
And she's number one. And we've also seen many different people hold that spot until,
Fair
you know,
point.
another person decides to play well consistently again. People change coaches all the time, for many different reasons. This is a job. And, you know, I found it interesting. And I said this on Twitter, and then I said, so, you know, people want to come and, oh, but so what? Like, Federer changes coaches every couple years, and it doesn't necessarily mean that something's wrong with his game or his relationship with the coach. It just seems to be what he does, and we don't question it. We go, oh, Federer's changing coaches again, right? In the response, when I said that on Twitter, I got, but he's Federer. So the fuck what? It's all tennis, people. And it seems like little bits and pieces more and more are coming out. And maybe they just really she didn't like him. I don't know. But you know what? I don't care. Like, unless you're going to give me some good juicy tea, I don't give a fuck. They split up. They were appearing. They did well. And now they're moving on for whatever reason. So what?
Okay.
People change coaches all the time. Why is this? Why? I just want to know, why is it such a big deal? And why are people taking it like so personally? Like, oh my God, how dare you do this? You just won. You won 2 majors in a row and you're going to split with your coach. So what? Maybe
I would
they've
say
plateaued. I mean, there's so many reasons. I just don't understand why it's such a big deal.
Let me just say this before Andre, you go on. In terms of your comparison with Federer, I think one of the things that you have to draw when it comes to Federer and perhaps other people is that they communicate better and much more effectively than I think Osaka can or is able to at this time. So when Federer is changing coaches or not getting a coach, he states exactly why this is, and he's very upfront. There is no secret or animosity.
But I think he's really the only one that does that. Most people don't. Most people don't tell us why they're changing coaches.
And he particularly, and when he gets a coach, he communicates exactly why he's getting X person to come in. So I think that's kind of a different. He plays the media savvy game a lot better. Whether these things that he's saying is true, it's a different story. But he's very clear, and you know, he controls the narrative. Always, he tries to control the narrative. So I think it's a little bit different.
This buzz has been. I mean, I feel like
there is an artificial buzz
lasting too long. Like there was buzz when Stan and Mangus broke up. It lasted like a day. You know, like, I mean, he's got a much longer, stronger presence on tour than Osaka. Like, is it because it's Sasha? Maybe it's because Sasha has such a long history on tour. You know, maybe it's more about him than it is her, but we don't really want to say that. I don't know. It feels weird to me. And I'm just over it already.
I don't understand the weirdness. First and foremost, she is the number one player. Most people believe that she is going to be
the heiress apparent.
Yeah, she's the heiress apparent, and she is and she has turned around a situation that people have determined to be problematic. And I think that the WTA wants to have a narrative around you caring about its top 10 players and all the elements that are a part of their life, right? And so the loss of a coach for the number one player with 2 slams, which, believe me, was done very differently than how other people had done things in the past, right?
Well, was it ever?
Right. Because in the past, you've had a person get to number one with no slam. Mm-hmm. You've had a person get to number one many, many months after having gotten a slam, so it wasn't actually related.
Or
to the
years,
slam.
Caroline.
Or years.
Right. And also, you've had people who got the slam, wait a couple of years and get the other slam.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There's never been the last quick succession has been deceased Jennifer Capriati, who we're not gonna count. But the other has been Star Wars. Like you've had Hingis, the Williams sisters. They have been the one who've been like, you know. So
I just feel like this buzz is artificial.
I don't think it's artificial. I think that is the trajectory that we want, or at least the news media evaluates Osaka under, which is someone who's building a legacy, and therefore they're going to expect her to conduct herself in a certain way, which is, and I also think the way the news was delivered belies the fact that she is now on a tier that maybe requires more than a tweet. Do you see what I mean? It's like, so nobody's putting out news about their coaching change in a tweet if you are an established number one, having won 2 slams and is now building a legacy. People believe and think about your career very differently when you are in that space, right? So I think it's noteworthy for them, for her to have released a successful coach, and maybe they weren't reading the tea leaves, but up till then, they hadn't talked about the relationship as being problematic. It wouldn't have shocked us if Muguruza had parted ways with her coach.
Girl, we're not. Right? We're waiting for that. We are waiting.
But I think what was somewhat surprising is because many of the things that were going on were underground, and so the news was actually surprising to multiple parties. Right? It was surprising to the media, and then it also seemed, now Osaka in her press conference is saying that if you had been reading the teas and saw us in Australia, you would have known. But she never gave any hints of that. I mean, how can you tell the difference in her countenance from one day to the next? It's the same, miserable looking, right? So what are you going to do? But I think that we have to place it within the context of that. Like, we might not personally care because we don't think of her that way, but I think there's a narrative that's being shaped around who she is and who she represents in the sport, which suggests that we need to and should care about the number one player with 2 slams getting rid of a successful coach. What's going on there? Right? But I mean, I'm less interested in that than sort of like, you've both seen her video about why she chose to leave the coach. What's your sense of that? What's your interpretation?
Okay.
Reading between the lines and the leaves.
Okay. He didn't fucking baby her. That's what. Yeah. That's what I understand. I'm like, oh, Sasha wasn't nice enough to you. He didn't tell you what you wanted to hear. Well, first of all, I take 2 issues with that. People only treat you the way you let them treat you. Bottom line. I don't care what the relationship is. That's the way it works. 2, if he wasn't saying what you wanted him to say, what the fuck you call him down for all the time? You are a coach calling whore, man. Oh my God, I need my coach. Like, cut it out, right?
Well, I would say that, I mean, I was somewhat confused by some of the things that she was saying. Like, she said, you know, like, he was, she said he wasn't talking positive to her.
Well, she didn't say that. You are interpreting that. Right?
No. She said, you know, like,
she did say that. Well, she said negativity.
She was getting negativity. She was getting negativity from him, right? And then she turned around and say, I need someone who's going to tell me exactly what it is. Don't sugarcoat anything to me. Then maybe that's why he's telling you that. And that's it. Like, I don't get it. Like, you wanted to baby you, but not baby you. And then you said, oh, you don't want the negativity. So he finds a roundabout way to tell you, and you don't like that either. Like, I'm confused. Like, you tell a friend to tell you, right?
You know what I think? I think we have to remember. I think we have to remember that she's very young.
She's young. But I mean, like, but this is what I've always been asking. Who are her handlers? Like, why is it that, I mean, because I'm just simply saying they're not handling the situation. They're not handling the situation well at all. Like, I don't know. She's not comfortable out into just in the front and whatever the case may be. She needs, I'm not about hating it. She needs media training, right? That might be so. Clearly. Or to craft a better narrative. Like, you know, girl, you don't have to tell us everything. We don't need the truth, right? We just need to know you're winning or not. Because at the end of the day, that's what people are going to be concerned about. Is she winning? Is she not winning? The WTA is hungry for, I mean, tennis is built around consistency and top consistency, right? Any sports legacy is. Nobody, and I know people love to talk about, like, some list came out about Anna Kournikova being influencer. No, that's not how that works. You influence the game by winning, okay? And she seems to be doing that. But she's not, but when it comes to the media savvy side of the situation, she's just clueless, and it's very, very difficult to. I mean, like, honestly, this is one of the reasons why I'm not even like a big fan. I love her game, but then I'm like, girl, when you're not playing, I'm just like, I'm getting nothing. There's just nothing that is just like, and the statement that she gave out there was just like, there was signs. What? Was he fighting you? Was he punching you in the face? What was he saying that was so negative? You were winning. You were doing well. And then you had a situation recently and you apologized and said, I shouldn't have done that, right? She didn't blame him for the situation. She blamed herself. So a lot of this is confusing. So, and then again, as Angelina says, kind of, I know she didn't say it, but for me, just like, I really don't care at this point.
No, I don't either. I mean, I think for me, the good news for me is, listen, both of them have very good track records. I think Osaka will be fine. Maybe she's a bit derailed for the next couple months, which is probably a win for somebody. Maybe me. But then the other thing is, I think she's going to land on her feet. She's fine. And the other thing is, I think that he's a great coach. I think that you can't argue with his results, right?
Right.
I think if you read our former co-host piece, Bridge piece on Sasha, I think it's really important to recognize that Sasha was by the side of the reigning champ in tennis, Serena Williams, and he translated that knowledge into a fantastic coaching package for everyone that he has coached since, right? He has led them to titles and to significantly change their games, or at least significant wins that has suggested that he has something to offer. So I actually think that this is great news for some young
he hones the skills in.
Exactly. So for some young up-and-comer who no longer has to wait for Osaka to drop this coach, jump on it. He's hot.
Yeah, and it ain't about the money, girl. Apparently he was coming cheap. So girl, get it. Get it on it. Osaka was like, it's not about the money. I'm offended when people talk about it's money. Hey.
Look, I'm offended that she's offended. Girl, you have so much money. Enjoy it. But it isn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm offended that you're talking money. I'm offended that you.
And then you know what? She did that corporate thing. She did that corporate thing that I hate. Everyone who travels with me is like family. Bitch, no.
Family
you don't pay family nothing. That's the problem. That's the problem.
No,
you don't pay family a thing. So get out of here with that mess, okay?
I thought it was strange that she said no. The only part of it that I thought was very strange was her saying that she had people on her team who was capable of doing what Sasha had been doing. I was like, well, clearly not, because Sasha is the one that helped you get to those titles.
Exactly.
They had been a part of your team all along and hadn't been able to do it. So I mean, I think in her sort of passive aggressive way, she's been quite negative about Sasha, which I think is funny because she's like, I'm not going to get up here and say anything negative. And then
no. I was gonna say something. I think I've said it, but people are gonna translate it as hate, right? I've said that girl is a very devious girl. She's very devious. You should go back and watch the match between her and the final Petra. She was giving Petra the stank eye. Like
she's fly. That's it. Listen, she's fly,
and that's nothing new. But you know what, girl? Own that shit. Own it. I know right about now, it's good to profit in that kindness, sweetness, because you know what? It brings that sort of like Serena versus Osaka narrative. But girl, Serena ain't your competitor. She's not. She's not your rival. She's not your rival.
Let me tell you something. The best thing that's going to happen to Osaka is when she steps into all and she owns all of those parts of and complexities in her personality. The parts of her that's really like intense and really wants to win at all costs, which became very clear at the Australian Open.
Yeah.
The part of her that was like getting on-court coaching when it's not allowed. So clearly she's not about.
Yeah. Because you know what, girl? The only tension I was seeing was that, okay? The only interaction I saw between you and the coach was the on-court bullshit. That's what I was seeing. So the tension you spoke of, didn't see any of that. I thought that he was communicating to you and it was being effective.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't have known, right? I mean, I think it's okay. But I think, the best thing about Naomi Osaka is all good things are probably in the future for her. So this is just like a blip on the radar. But I think it's great news for some other young charge who's right there waiting for someone to come along and help to transform their game. And I'm hoping it's going to be somebody fun and engaging. And
I wonder if Taylor Towns don't have any money put her away, girl.
Taylor, get it.
I don't know who to ask with the money, but girl, get in at it, girl. Like,
or Madison Keys. Somebody go up in there. Somebody American, take Sasha so that we can cheer you on, but hopefully not somebody who's MAGA. So I'm okay with that.
Maddie, you might be on the fence for this one, but we want you to get it, Maddie. We want you to definitely get it.
Oh, but you know who doesn't have a coach? Sloan, right? So Sloan, get up in there, girl.
Yeah.
It's Kamal Murray is all over the place.
But you know what?
You guys want to have a little? Can I just interject a little tea because we were talking? Can I just interject a little bit of tea, right? That's happening right now as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about coaches and them being all over the place. So I totally just decided to text Kamal Murray right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes.
He did?
Where's he at? Where's he at now?
I don't know where he is. And what's the woman? What's the Puerto Rican's name? What's her name?
Monica Puig.
Mm-hmm.
So because there was a girl that I met at in Cleveland who I heard afterwards, a young girl, Delania Hewitt, who I heard after I met her and, you know, talked to her and stuff that she was working with Kamau. And I'm like, but isn't he with Puig? So I just text him and I'm like, hey, are you working directly with this player or is she just training at your facility? And he's like, who is this?
You fooled me there.
So I say, oh, you know, sorry, it's Janina from the Realz Tennis Fans podcast, blah, blah, blah. I met her. And then I heard afterwards that you guys were working together. And he says, I'm working with her directly. Now, why this is interesting to me is because it's like, aren't we talking about, we talked a little bit about coach sharing and blah, 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 right? And in a coach being dedicated to a player. Well, clearly. So I did ask again. We'll see if he answers me. He might be done with me. Like, why does she even have my number? He probably forgot. But anyways,
but I think first of all, you have to be clear about that. And we're not blowing up your spot, Kamala, because we want you on the podcast.
No, totally. But I'm just like, we talked about this being, you know, people sharing. And what does that mean for a coach to not be completely dedicated all the time to one player? Especially,
I don't know. First of all, how often do we see Puig? We have to ask those questions.
Well, yeah, but
somebody that shows up every week at a tournament.
When this connection was made, wasn't this like, oh my God, this is exactly what she needs?
It was
someone like him,
but we don't know what the relationship is.
They've never
got any full details about how it works.
Coach, this person's going to be, you know, because I think one of the things that we have to remember is that it's not entirely clear how the coaching relationship is established. Some coaches are traveling with their players all the time. Some are there only at the major tournaments. It's, I think, because I don't know, from my sense of it, I think maybe with the big boys, we notice that a lot more because they usually have a pretty consistent relationship with their coaches. But I think with everybody else, I think it's a mixed bag.
Well, it's totally a mixed bag because he says he's working with hundreds of kids with a smiley face. So you always kind of wonder, like, how does this stuff really work, though? Because it seems like everything, I guess, with the relationships that we see out front and center, and that's probably the difference because, again, everything comes back to money, right? And what people can afford. And can you afford to keep this coach with you all the time and only focused on you? Which I don't know anything about Monica Puig outside of her Olympic medal, really. Not a whole lot. But is she a player that can afford that?
But you don't know what his rates are, though.
Exactly. I mean, we don't know his rates. I mean, I think we all have to understand.
And coaches have different challenges, right? Or different desires. They might want to develop someone's game. They're interested in doing that, as opposed to because I think someone like Sam Sumik might be much more instrumental in an academy setting. Though we gotta watch him, not abuse people. But I mean, like, he's very good at breaking down people's game and taking out bad things and getting a technique, a solid technique going. So maybe that might be a better thing for him than doing it day in babysitting someone. And also coaching relationship depend on the other person's relationship, right? It's two. So it depends on how your personality mesh up together, which is what Osaka was trying to say. Our personality didn't really mesh. And though it might be seemingly, you might think of it like a job. You might be getting paid day and good money, but it's just not a right fit for you. Just don't like the vibe.
But also, it's just not clear what the parameters are. Some are going to be full-time coaches. Some are going to be part-time in certain tournaments. I think those are part of the contractual obligations that a coach and signs on for. But then also the other thing is you might have to, when you work with a coach like somebody like a Kamal, who clearly has other obligations because he does have an academy and he does he participates in that, he probably offers you what he's capable of offering. And then when
you know what else?
That he's a coach, that just may mean it. We're going with the assumption, and it means it's going to be like, oh, all the other coaches we see, like a Darren Cahill, constantly traveling and getting down, and but it may not be that.
That's what I was just gonna say. I think we have this idea of what a coach is, and we don't necessarily. It's interesting when you get to talk to a coach. I know that Maxime Cressy's coach, of course, he wants him to do well, and he wants him to, move up in the rankings and play on the main tour and do all that. But we talked about like how really where's the coach's passion, right? He wants to develop, not necessarily go with, if that makes sense. Like he's okay with saying, let's build up your game, let's make it better, let's work with what you have and tweak that so that you can move forward, and then it's time for you to move on
with somebody else.
Yes.
I mean, and speaking of that, look at the note that supposedly the person who was I shared it in a DM, the person who was thinking of training Halep. Look at that perspective as well, right? So I think coaching is a very complex set of dynamics. It's pretty unclear that there's no one size fits all model,
right?
And then some coaches are consultant coaches. Some coaches are full-time coaches. Some are part-time coaches. Some are, only there for major events. Because I think at one point in time, even Andy Murray had a coach, but only mostly during the clay season.
Right.
And then also,
like I said, Federer's always clear about specifically why X person is here. And maybe that's one of the things that when people get a coach, they should be
clearer. Like, what exactly have you signed on? Has this coach signed on?
Right. And why are you here? Why did you pick this person? Because we sort of take coaches and also let us not forget that Federer didn't have a coach for a significant portion of his career. And also Monfils went without a coach. So having a coach is not the end all to it all, not to say that they can't survive that. You should never have a coach, but maybe sometimes people work best when they're left alone and left to their own devices, because we do see a lot of players, they have all the tools, but they're still in their heads, and maybe they need time to mature and get themselves, because she has achieved a lot, you know what I mean? And again, she's not always a bit
Osaka.
Going back to Osaka, and also in the case of Sloane Stephens, there are a lot of times where they seemingly had all the right tools. No one questions their fitness per se and their ability to play tennis, but it's always a lot of times you see it's just a mental thing, right? And it's just like, how much can a person, what can you, clearly the coaches and coach may be telling all the right things, but like what more can one say to you? So maybe, let's just wait and see. And also let's go back to the fact, like generally I don't really care.
Well, I mean, you just had a whole set, and you ended.
But you're right, Andreen. I would say, Andreen, you are absolutely right. I personally do not care, but on a whole, we have to care because this is the number one player.
Exactly.
This is the number one player.
Those are the kinds of things that you want to. I mean, those are the things you want people to be passionate and care about. Like, it may not resonate for us, but the fact that it did drum up, Janina, in sort of like in response to your like, why is this a big deal? I think the fact that it did drum up any kind of response was good news for the WTA, because that means they have a number one player that can generate some news.
Right.
Oh, that's true. We definitely
but what? But here's the thing, though. I have to say, the WTA, like, the news that she's drumming up, it's never always so clearly good on its own, right? Whenever she's doing something, you always frame it with Serena, and
but this was a separate thing, had nothing to do with that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But and also now it's just like, oh, she left a coach. Like, oh my God, why is she doing it? Is she crazy? You were just loving her 2 minutes ago.
No, but that. But see, listen, I don't think it has anything to do with it. Listen, we all know that the vital thing in this marketplace, a crowded sports marketplace, is to get some attention, however you get it. And if now the attention on Osaka is she's a diva and she needs to figure out what she wants to do, you know what? Boo-hoo for her, but good news for them, because that means someone cares. Listen, we had 2 winners of the Australian Open. Which one have we heard the most about in the last month?
I don't even know who won the men anymore.
Exactly. And in this media landscape, that is very good news for the WTA. Am I lying or what?
You are not lying. There is no lie there. Well done, Andreen. You are so good at bringing perspective.
Exactly.
All
right. You know what? We're gonna move on now. We're gonna move on.
God damn. But you know what, Andreen? That's not even my feelings, and they're hurt.
What?
They're hurt. I mean,
that'll be okay.
Jesus, ATP, what the fuck are y'all doing?
Listen, going behind the 8 ball, that's what they're doing. But I just want to say, before the podcast going to come out, do you two have a comment on the last number one and her coach and the perspective that was just offered to you about
who was the last number one?
Halep. Wasn't it Halep?
Or
the last major number.
Yeah. The winner of the Australian Open
Are
was
we
playing
sure?
for the...
Are we sure it's Halep?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
it is Halep. My God, you see, first of all, someone made a comment that we're not good on our stats, and that hurt my feelings. And I was just like, we're always on top of our shit. And now Janina and Andrina are making us look like shit. Come on. Okay, I'm putting it out there. We're gonna get a stat boy or girl. Okay.
Wait. At no point in time did Janina and I start any sentence with "I don't care," and then I think we're gonna be good. Okay. No, but however,
so Realz is putting out just a general announcement. We need a stat person. Okay. Just to make sure that we are on top
of it. Out.
Actually, honestly, we don't. So many people.
We really don't.
I have zero interest in stats. I want the death of stats. Okay. So.
I kind of love stats, but when I want them, I go get them myself. So no, we don't need a stat person. Thank you for your application.
Wow.
Denied.
Okay, we can move on. So
we're not having any intern slaves here. I guess not.
Yeah, no. All I'm saying is I enjoy the note that was floating around on Twitter about Halep's search for a coach and the fact that this person, the last person she spoke to, didn't feel like he could bring much to her game. That's interesting to hear a coach say that and be like, essentially like, thanks.
But no, thank you.
This job. So that's a good.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that she when talking about diva, I would say she's a diva.
Halep?
Yeah.
You think Halep is a diva?
I'm telling you.
Ooh, I don't get that about her at all.
Listen to me. Halep don't curse you out in front of the
No. She seems like a genuinely nice person.
Sympathetic has never been the same since. He was like, what?
Cut it out.
That's my job.
You're a mess. Stop it. Okay.
We need to talk about the men.
No, we can move on to the men. But I think that's you're so bad. But you know what? These ladies are coachless. But the wonderful thing about this is that they have the basics of their own games down. I think they'll be able to survive a couple tournaments for that coaching.
Yeah, and they're winning.
I don't know.
Listen, and if they do get derailed, that's good news for some other players coming up. That's the kind of world we live in. Okay,
that's right. Pay attention, ladies.
Exactly. It's on a 0-sum game here. Okay, they're like other people waited just like Elise Mertens. She's willing to snatch some titles,
and she's gonna come right up and sneak in. So good on her.
And Svitolina, I mean, Monfils not gonna win a major. I don't think so. But you know,
leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Stop it.
Leave it alone. We don't make any of those statements. I mean, how dare you?
Let's talk.
Anyway,
let's talk about Tsonga first. We've had some men around this week that we have not seen a whole lot lately.
And they're all black. In Black History Month.
Yes, Wakanda forever. We've had Tsonga, we've had Stan, we've had Monfils. He wants to be. No, I didn't mean that, Andreen.
But he's a villain.
He hasn't been around.
He's a villain on the ATP. So therefore, if he were a movie, he would have been cast as being black. So
stop it.
Usually,
we're gonna have to scrap this whole thing. And
no, we're not. No, we're not. Go ahead, Janina. Go ahead and make your point. We're transitioning to the ATP. Go for it.
So it's nice, right? It's nice to see these people back on tour.
It is.
I'm not pleased. Well, I am not pleased with the people who are like, oh, Monfils was injured today so badly and he won. Yeah, deal with it. So what?
Y'all
You
want
know
to
what?
shit when this happens on the WTA, right? This happens on the WTA all the
All
time.
the time.
No, honestly, let me just straight up say, Monfils was not injured. However, this is what happened. There was a question about Monfils having an injury, but he didn't make a big deal about it.
He didn't. TV made a big deal about
He
it.
didn't acknowledge it. He didn't say anything about it. It's so fascinating to watch a Monfils match because the way that the commentators interpret Monfils' actions on court, it's just so bad.
So bad.
And so badly intentioned. That's what's so sad about it. Because Monfils, I think we've watched Monfils enough to know that bending over does not mean that Monfils is out of breath. I think we all need to now know that. Like, that's just something he does.
He's a very tall and skinny man. He's very flexible and bendy.
But that's just his recovery stance. And I think they bought into this idea that having him bend over meant that Monfils was winded, and it happened to them consistently for the last week, even though he was winning matches in the third set and out-grinding people. So this narrative of Monfils being super tired and winded and weary and done, I think.
But you know what's funny about that, Andrew?
Part of it is the game for him.
Well, in the next breath, we talk about how brilliant and fantastic his athleticism is.
Yep.
It's just so contradictory. Whatever.
Well, and the other part of it that's been interesting this year is the insertion of intelligence into Monfils' game by people, which is a sort of awareness suddenly that Monfils is not just a brainless person, an athlete without a brain out there. Is that he was quote unquote playing smart tennis this week. And I think I would say that he was playing within himself and within his capability and was focused, but I wouldn't necessarily say that he was smart for the first time. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that you've heard Monfils break down other players' games historically and talked about tactics historically and talked about what he's tried to do. Whether he's been successful or not is a different story.
But clearly he has a high tennis IQ. And we never give him credit for that.
They never say it.
Oh, not we. We give him credit.
We give him credit. The TV commentators never give him credit. The people who are supposed to know the game the best, who get paid to talk about it, never give him that credit.
And it's always in conclude. I mean, I just think that just because he's won this tournament, and I think he played wonderful throughout the week, and he played within himself, and he did all the right things when he needed to, and he tested out different strategies. I think we have to be sensitive to the fact that Monfils has always spoken strategy, and he's always spoken about people's games in thoughtful ways. But for some reason this week, it feels new. And I think people need to really get over that and figure out why they continue to characterize Monfils as a kind of lost child in that way. When there's so many other people who are on tour with comparable results who are
actually lost,
but then who are also not characterized as lost.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like nobody's ever characterized Sock as lost. You know, they're not. And nobody would ever.
I mean, Monfils is not fucking showing up on Hannity, okay?
I mean, listen, we got to take our best.
Girl, I know it's as lost as one can get. When you're like fangirl on Sean Hannity.
But our perspectives about what's valuable in a person is very different. Because I also saw a tweet from Wertheim, I think it was. No, it was David Law.
Yes,
it was.
You
David
saw one
Law,
from Wertheim too.
And David Law about the presence of Stan Wawrinka on tour.
That was John Wertheim, and he says, "Isn't tennis a much?" Mm-hmm. Oh, they both did. Okay, so it was. God, isn't tennis better when Stan's around? Well, guess who else has been missing, motherfuckers? Monfils, and they're playing
Tsonga. And guess what?
But you pick Stan. But I'm gonna say something though.
Guess who don't sell out tournaments?
Wait. Who's
here's where I hope they were coming from, even though I don't think so. Now, we know that when Monfils is on, he can beat anybody. We know this. He's just not consistent and reliable, and he doesn't have any slams under his belt, unlike Mr. Wawrinka. So I get that. So I'm hoping that the thought behind that was maybe finally, it's good for him to be back because he can break up the top. right?
Sure.
I
Probably.
hope that's where it came from, because really it did kind of feel like, why are you picking one person to talk about when multiple people in this space right here, especially haven't been around, and you pick this one to say, God, it's good to have him back, because really it's always great to have Monfils around, because even when he's losing, he's typically a shit ton of fun to watch. Way more fun than Stan. You know,
at any time.
But see, that is an open question, because for us, we would say that Monfils and Tsonga are actually more fun than Stan. But that's open for discussion.
I mean, I guess it comes down to what you prefer.
What you prefer, right? That's open to discussion. I have not felt that the tour was necessarily missing Stan, but
Because
I
it
think
wasn't.
it wasn't. But I think what the tour was missing were those players who were in the 10 to 25 range, who were solid and healthy on the ATP side. I think that's really what's been sort of missing on the tour, was having that good, like your Burditch or your consistent names that would be playing well, would be healthy, and give you occasional great second, third, and fourth round matches and matchups, right? That was really missing on the tour for a while. And so it was kind of deadly. So, I mean, I think in terms of just who was missed on the tour, I think we've missed that strong middle.
And I also say that I agree with that, but I also think it always missed that buzz and excitement from the crowd. I mean, like, you're not gonna get the crowd of just partisan people, right? In terms of people like, I come here for X player, I come here for Y player. People are just gonna show up because, oh my God, there's a tennis tournament here, and I like tennis, I want to go. But the thing that Monfils and Tsonga can do, that I think Stanley can never do, is that he can bring you in.
I know,
and he brings in the average person. And
I
think that's an exciting person. And that might not translate necessarily for result, but it makes it fun for the atmosphere. It makes it fun watching it on television. And it's just a sort of like, it breaks up the whole dull thing, whatever. That Monfils is just a fun person. And he's fun in interviews, or fun personalities. And look, you got Svitolina. Y'all should try to market that. Get on that market.
No, stop it. We don't need that. We don't need that.
No, what I mean is just like I mean, people like those kind of things, right? I mean,
I don't know, but I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting that they led with that with Stan. I mean, of course, the first thing I think about with Stan every time I see him is bad things. So I don't need there. I think he's a problematic person. But listen, you're problematic is another person's genius. Cubism and all. But and he's got that great backhand. What are we gonna do when he's got such a great backhand? I mean, so he might like younger people. What do we care? He's got a great backhand. But I just, for me, it just was noteworthy. I was like, you guys are really missing the formula of what makes these tournaments work. And it's really having solid mid-range guys who can fill up a 250 and a 500 and keep it really interesting.
Yeah, because Andy Murray ain't there no more. He ain't there to vulture these things.
Stop it. Andy Murray.
You got
so in that
you
spirit,
gotta go back on the back bench. You gotta go on the bench.
So in that spirit, Tsonga won Montpelier, right?
Yes, Tsonga won Montpelier. He beat my boot Pitt.
Who also played fantastic.
Yes,
right?
He's getting in his singles, trying to get that singles money going. Good for him.
Nice results.
He's having a good year. He won the Australian Open doubles,
Yes, very good for Pierre. So that was great. And then who won Sofia? Another person who I think is a very positive change on the tour.
Asterisk.
Medvedev?
Asterisk, because these Russian boys can be kind of racist.
Listen, let's just assume that from the get, but then we just hope he keeps it quiet. So then listen.
I don't hurt anyone.
Listen, these are the facts, people. We come from and live in racist societies. Let's presume racism is going to be embedded in some places, but let's just figure out who's going to be silent about it and who's going to just play their game. Like, that's really where I'm at with racism right now in sports.
Fair enough.
That sounds harsh for me, but I don't know about you guys, but that's where I've decided to settle with it. Is like, I'm going to presume that there's some racist leanings in all of us. The question is, who's going to share it out loud in video, tweets, visits to studios and those kinds of things.
Dang. All
And who's
right.
gonna say it's just a difference in opinion, okay?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
and try to shroud it in like those are liberal ideas, and I just don't want socialism and liberal, you know.
okay.
Yeah.
So to date, we have not heard any of those things. All I know about Medvedev is that he annoys people, and some people consider him the new Simone.
Oh.
Which is both a compliment and an insult, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but I tell you what though, Medvedev has thicker legs than Simone. Me does.
Thank God.
And a more
You know what?
Yeah,
Medvedev, I can tell you for sure that Medvedev, Simone look like his pulse rate never goes beyond 25. Let's like he's just cool and calm, no matter what.
He's a really, really good grinder. I have to say that about
Exactly.
Simone. He's grinding, but he never makes you feel like he's grinding because he looks
Exactly. He just look like a cool fresh of air. Like he just look like whoa.
27. Jill Simone is 27. You know, wow. I mean,
She's 27?
No, 34. Sorry.
I was about to say, girl. I was just like,
sorry, he was born in December 27th. No, he's 34.
I was about to say, girl.
Yeah,
like,
he's well maintained for 27-year-old.
He's a dad. He has like 2 children already.
I think so. Yeah. So,
but Medvedev is a hurricane. Okay, like you're gonna get explosion and so you're gonna get lots of drama. And when it comes to
that about him. He's got a lot
yes,
of
the Russian boys are very exciting to behold on a court. You know,
Just
sometimes
tell me what's up with his hair.
Yeah, I don't get it though. I've spoken about it here. You're too young to have a comb over, boo. Too young.
So bad.
But that's okay. We're gonna leave him alone because he's so young.
We are.
Yeah, just for now with the hair. Until it decides what it's gonna be.
Yeah. So Medvedev beats Fusovic, which is a hottie, but he's from Hungary, so we're gonna go to the default races.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
I didn't say. Do you see how I say it gently, and you just went bold and crazy like that?
I mean, Victor Urban. What I say? That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, fine. Okay, all right. We're not going to indict an entire group of people like that.
Apparently, we are.
But I'm just simply saying that we're gonna be aware. We're not gonna say that we're gonna give you the chance, but we're just gonna say like,
I don't think you're giving anyone a chance.
We're gonna keep an open mind. We're gonna keep an open mind that you're not gonna be rabid about this because we really want to continue to enjoy tennis. And so, anyway, so Tsonga won Montpelier. Medvedev won Sofia, and then was having a really nice little time here in Rotterdam. I think everybody thought he was going to easily get through through Monfils. I was actually quite happy with the outcome of that match because Monfils traditionally has a problem with Tsonga.
Yeah, I think when it comes to it's one of those things where you have like 2
top dogs and bottom boy,
but 2 top dogs, and also like sometimes just one can be like, you know what. I can get up for this match, and Monfils, I can. It's not really the same thing, but like how they could turn on the competitive mode. Sometimes I feel like Monfils just never turns on the competitive mode. You know what I mean? But like,
I always just think that he plays his position in that dynamic. That's all. Like, and I think for a long time, Tsonga has been allowed to be top dog in that space. I'm hoping that changes because
he got the major. He's the one who got to the major final, so maybe that's what it is really.
All I have to say is, Monfils' biggest. So Monfils said in his winning speech that this is noteworthy that he noticed it, that this is a tournament that allowed him to place his name next to his idol, right? Which is Arthur Ashe.
Martin Klizan?
No, Arthur Ashe. I'm
sorry. I'm still brooding over that final that he should have won several years.
That's fine. So, but I think that's noteworthy because I think where did Arthur Ashe make his biggest statement?
In Europe.
No, what tournament?
The U.S. Open.
Wimbledon.
I don't know. What is this quiz hour?
It's February quiz, but no, I'm just thinking to myself that I think Monfils would have a fantastic time having a surprise run at Wimbledon because isn't that what Arthur Ashe did? That wonderfully underrated surprise.
That's what we need.
When he did that wonderful run and beat Jimmy Connors to everyone's surprise because everybody thought he couldn't do it, and he gave a shock beat down to Jimmy Connors and won Wimbledon. That is a signature moment. Anyway, I don't know. I just when Monfils made that note, I thought to myself, Monfils doing well at Wimbledon would be a wonderful gift for himself this year.
It would be a wonderful gift for me.
You're right.
I think it would be a wonderful gift for the world because I mean, like, since the current Wimbledon champion ain't really trending, I'm just saying that,
well, listen, how do we get this guy to trend? I mean, we can't have more girlfriends in closets. But so 1975 was that upset.
And she just called me brutal. Can you believe that? Just saying.
I love Andrea the best.
She just called me brutal. And then she just dropped that bomb just like, ooh.
That's what she does. She drops things subtly and then she keeps moving.
We got to keep going, ladies. But actually, no, but let's get into it though. What did you guys think of Tsonga? Tsonga looks great though. I didn't
actually get to see Tsonga at all, so
yeah. So
I mean, Tsonga was actually on top of himself. Like he was exuding that sort of like, baby Ali spirit that we love when he was younger.
Joy.
You know what I mean? Huh?
He brought joy. Remember joy?
That pure joy, like, and the dimples, and he's like, like the dance, like he just brings that, you're just excited for, he just brings you into a match. You know what I mean? You just feel like, oh my God, I'm excited this dude is winning. You know what I mean? And he was beating up my baby because I mean, like, he treat Pierre-Hugues like Pierre-Hugues was a doubles player, which he is, but
oh my God.
I mean,
listen, Jamie Murray protests that, okay?
No, I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, look, I'm not saying, Jamie, I'm not saying no slide. I mean, this is my boo, but I'm just simply saying, Tsonga was, sometimes you play a countryman in a final and you come back trip up, like you might be confused what's happening, because clearly, Pierre-Hugues was playing well. He beat Burditch. He beat Burditch in the semis.
I don't know what that
was
means.
like,
I don't know what that means.
Boo. Tsonga was just like, whoa, gift. I think it was a breadstick on a 2-piece. I think is what it was.
Tsonga looked across and said, I have a Frenchman in the final. I'm good.
Exactly. It's just like, I am not going to be confused by this. Tsonga snatched this so quickly from Pierre-Hugues. I didn't even think Pierre-Hugues even finished, realized the match was over. Like, he was
sure he did.
I bet he looked pretty losing.
Always. That's the great thing about
he
always looks pretty losing.
I mean, but it was a very pretty match, though. It was a pretty match. I mean, you got two cuties. I mean, like.
So we could go. We've been in Europe, but the other tournament that was going on is in Argentina, I believe it is.
Yeah. And with
is that where Diego Sportsman beat Dominic Thiem?
Yeah, it is. Dominic Thiem is always connected to the dirt, so that's where he lives.
I mean, to me, for a minute there, Dominic Thiem looked like, you know what? I have to say this. I'm gonna make a real critique. I was gonna make something funny, but Dominic Thiem needs to go really check himself because he gets rattled by the crowd.
Yeah, he does. That's what you gotta do. You gotta bring the crowd.
Maybe it might just be this. You don't fuck with the Argentines, but they fuck him up all the time. But I mean,
it's true.
This was a winning match. This was his.
But you know what though?
I mean,
they were rude. They were rude. I mean, what kind of crowd are you that when the person wins a point against your own person, you're silent?
I mean, and then you're gonna say they're rude, and then you got Swashman in the comment in the talking about his grandma. It's just like, trust me, Dominic Thiem was gonna lose for winning. There was no winning that situation.
He was in a winning position and still lost. So
I mean, and it's so because it's such a. I mean, like, I don't think
he was having U.S. Open flashbacks. He heard that Argentine chant and he thought he saw Delpo across from him. And
girl, I mean, like, it was as friendly, hostile as it possibly could. Just like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not trying to kill you, but they don't like you
at all.
It's kind of crazy because you won here many times. Like, this is the way you. This is his home territory.
This is home territory. At least
this is the Dominic Thiem season, right?
It is. This is what keeps them in the rankings.
And now, Dominic has been in the second week of majors, not like our favorite son. You know what I mean?
But is our favorite son gangly and looks cute in glasses?
Yes.
Oh,
yes. I mean, you know, I have a soft spot for Sasha. You know, I don't
Always
give a shit what you say.
I know. Listen, we all have our own favorite Germans. We take
But
it.
you know,
Kohlschreiber?
but I mean, yes. But you know, I mean, Dominic had that match
I thought so
wrapped up
too.
in a bow, and then Dominic was just like, you know, Dominic did that thing he did at the U.S. Open. Why are they cheering for him? Like, he became confused. And
I
look,
hope he gets over this because it can't be like him losing like a U.S. Open against not just Delpo but also against Rafa.
about anyone basically, because I mean, Dominic team, let's be 100 here. You don't bring the excitement, you don't bring the fun. You're very businessman-like. You know what I mean? You're very, you know, like there is no theatric with Dominic, right?
Except for
But
those
I mean,
wild
just look,
backhands and forehands, but sure.
I mean, it looks so strange, you know. And I know you all always say, you know, like, Schwartzman is lying about him being 5'9" or 5'10" or whatever.
Schwartzman is like 5'5".
Schwartzman looked like he was 5'5" yesterday, and it was so crazy. You can see how the height disparity more than any other time, because it looked like a child was pushing Dominic around the place, and it was just like, dude, you're getting bullied by a little boy. Like, what's happening
very,
here?
very
But he's
small,
very
man.
And then he
But also
lost the
very fast and very strong and
yeah, and Dominic and
he has a really weird nose.
but
okay.
Diego, but good on Diego to sense the moment. Diego
really like
sensed the moment,
Of
and
course.
Diego was just like, "Wait, he gonna lose this match, you know? I'm gonna win this to my abuela." And he just like,
And then
took charge
promptly
of the
had
match.
nothing in the final because he shouldn't have been
I
there.
know, but he was very emotional, as people would say on the interwebs. You know, he's very emotional. Yeah,
Is that a word?
no,
Nope.
it's not a word. It's Jessica
Oh.
Simpson. But anyway. He got very emotional,
also
and
sounds like a
about
rock
Abuela and his mama, and like that just took a lot out of him, because I think this was like the furthest he's ever got to in his home tournament.
And
But you know
also
what, Boo?
doubles. He's also playing doubles, which, by the way, he's playing with Dominic team, and they are in the final as well. So now he'll be fine.
Dominic, I wish you were a petty bitch and pull out. Be petty.
Don't be petty. They still got to
Be
collect
petty,
checks.
Dominic.
Collect
Be
checks.
petty.
So
Dominic, I want you to be petty.
So
Please be
unfortunately,
petty.
Diego did lose the final to Cecchinato, who's having a continuing to have a.
Oh, they
is
lost
like-
double breadstick.
Oh my god.
Wait, they
Gon-
lost the doubles too?
Gonzalez and Zabaleo beat Dominic Schwartzman and team 6-1, 6-1.
Oh, see?
But you know what? It was an
Schwartzman-
all Argentine team.
Yeah.
So, hey, win-win for Argentina.
Oh
You
my
probably had
goodness.
nothing left, really.
Oh my God.
But that was
Great.
a fun Argentinian tournament for some key standouts. I think there was also Mabu Pretty Pea had a very nice little run there. And now we're left with the last and most important.
Girl, let me just tell you, he let Cecchinato run all over him like Cecchinato was
Cecchinato playing good clay court tournament.
yeah, he's playing good Clico, but it's Cecchinato.
He's playing good
Okay.
tennis period
What
for
is
a
it?
while now.
But it's
so
not just Cecchinato because I think he's now in the top 20. So it's not
he's-
just Cecchinato anymore.
He's doing really well, and he
Yes,
has
he
been.
is.
So you
And
know what?
he is.
Give him his props.
Yes. I mean, just because he's not as pretty as Pea doesn't mean that Pea should have expected to beat him.
I'm still trying to decide if Pea's even pretty.
He might not be pretty, but you know what? The clay, the thing.
Miss Paolo Lorenzi? You know what, girl?
I never said he was pretty.
I'm just saying, you had a list and you picked Paolo Lorenzi for anything.
It's almost list time again. Let me get to looking to see if Pea's
Well,
pretty.
I mean, just see. Sometimes it takes a good picture. He might be competing with Cecchinato for your affections next. We'll see. It's so rare that there are new ATP boys that come on the tour for you to focus on. So, but anyway, you guys stopped me from finally rounding out this ATP roundup with the key and biggest tournament of all, which is a tournament located in Staten Island or Long Island. It is Long Island, New York.
Girl?
The New York Open, which is in Long
Are you
Island.
okay? Is this your
The New
redhead
York
again?
Open.
Is this
What?
a US? Is
No,
this
no. The New York Open is in Long Island.
It's in Long Island. You were supposed to go. You did not, so we sent Sean instead. He
What were the-
enjoyed
what was-
himself.
What was the tea,
Oh,
Janina?
wait a minute. Janine, I thought you were my friend.
Sorry.
Oh, I
And
didn't
you're gonna make me compromise my safety to
Yes.
go out there for what?
I heard
People
it was.
watch Isna?
I heard it was quite the trek.
It's a trek, right? It's a long trek.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is not near a train station, so that requires me to get on the LIRR and plus get a taxi.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I'm a bitch on a budget. Okay,
Sean had to borrow a car. That's how he got there.
exactly. See,
So,
but I heard it's a good turn. It's an enjoyable space once you get
it
there.
sounded like he had a lot of fun, actually. He said there were tons of giveaways, and I was like, oh, he said there were so many giveaways that he didn't take everything. I was like, you could have taken things and then giving them to us to give away on the podcast. He was like, oh my God, you should have told me. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know they were giving shit away.
exactly right. You told me after the fact.
Now you know. Now you know. But you know what? I mean,
He was there for the Sam Querrey Braden Schnurr match, which was really good. I saw quite a bit of it.
What do you think?
You know what? So here's the thing: like nobody really knows who Braden Schnurr is. Well, guess
Does he
what?
have a pulse? He's a Canadian, so we gotta ask that. Does he have a pulse?
Yeah, and Sean says he's very cute too. But look, guys, he's young. He's young. We've got young people doing stuff. This is what we've been asking for.
Well, so Canada has like 3 excitement, right?
Yeah,
Felix,
and it's happening.
I know people trying to sell Shapovalov, but I mean, I'm thinking Felix has the juice there, but but he brings some excitement. He's on the social webs.
Yeah,
and he has a little blog going.
He's playing. He's playing Riley Opelka right now.
Yeah, but he's getting his ass kicked right now.
Well, he's not. He's doing better. He. Listen, this tournament was the first time he ever won a main tour match, period. And he's in a final. So I'm sure he's having, that moment of holy shit, I'm here. So yeah, he dropped the first set 6-1, but they're on serve in the second. So hopefully it was a case of nerves and it settled down and people there hopefully getting some better tennis. The most important thing there is, John Isner's out. Which gave him time to go and see.
But Riley Opelka isn't offering you any more exciting of a tennis game. He is.
I don't know anything about Opelka.
He is like 6 million.
He's tall and he gets into a lot of tie breaks.
Braden Schnurr actually isn't bad to watch at all. He's got some variety in his game. He will go up to the net. He's got a monster serve, but it's not just a monster serve like the placement. He served himself out of trouble a lot. I don't think too much of anybody expected him to beat Sam Querrey yesterday.
Probably
and he played him well and he played him tight and he got himself out of many trouble spots. I thought, oh shit, you're gonna get broken, and if you get broken, goodbye, because it was that's just what you expect. But he held his own and he looked like he belonged. I want to say that I saw him play in Cleveland a little bit. I don't,
but you don't remember?
I'm not sure. I feel like he was there, I think, but I don't know if I saw him. I'm honestly
speaking of lost lamb, can we speak about, not that we really care, like Sam Querrey has lost his way terribly.
Sam Querrey was he injured or something? Because he's playing a lot of lower level events. He's definitely
the only American really with that has won multiple surfaces. He can play on grass, clay.
Yeah, but he's been away, and I feel like he's been injured. He's definitely at a build the ranking stage back up because he doesn't. He's been away. Like I don't know what's going on with him. So somebody can let us know that. But regardless, we do have 2 young people vying for the title in New York today. So that's something. It's something.
That's good news for
tennis.
For American tennis, I'd say.
Yeah.
I don't know if the rest of the world would care, but I think Americans would care about that result, don't you think?
I would hope. I would hope. So what else? Anything? What do we got? What are we looking forward to? Let's wrap this up. What's going on?
There's something I just want to talk about. We're talking about.
No, I'm
what?
kidding.
That's how she feels about you, Realz.
I'm just saying, this is my podcast, and this bitch.
Get her. Horrible. I don't really.
No, but I mean something rather major, and we kind of slid it off insignificant. Is that Tsonga? It was announced yesterday that Tsonga is suffering from sickle cell disease.
Except it apparently wasn't announced yesterday.
Anemia.
Apparently he had an interview before the Australian Open where this was discussed. How did we not know about this? He said he gave an interview to a French publication, which still, I mean, he's a big enough player. It shouldn't matter that it was a French publication, that it didn't make its waves around the tennis world, that he has sickle cell and that it only bothers him when he has to fly. Now, I wonder, well, okay, so to finish, he says it only bothers him when he has to fly because it takes him several days to recover. Other than that, he is good to go pretty much for anything, which is unusual for someone who suffers from sickle cell.
So now let's be clear, there is sickle cell disease / anemia and / sickle cell traits, having sickle cell traits.
Yeah.
It is a hereditary disease. So you don't develop this in adulthood or like in late teen. You're literally born with
it.
Born either with the trait or sickle cell anemia.
He is saying that he was only diagnosed 5 years ago.
Yeah, so he had the trait, but I think they do say that you can develop elements of it later in your life. You inherit the
traits. So that's what I'm saying. But
anemia, but you can then how it develops and plays out, right?
Well, Realz is just having a hard time with the fact that we've never heard about this.
They're not calling it sickle cell trait, though. They're calling it sickle cell disease.
Well, they are, but you know what? Every person in Europe who gets a cold says they have a flu. So,
girl.
It's true. It's true. And the flu is a disease in itself, but I mean, I'm just putting it out there for some perspective. Maybe that is what they're saying, but maybe that's not really what it is. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, for me, I'm finding this quite dubious. Not to say that he's someone's lying. I'm just simply saying that someone is presenting not all the facts, because this is, and I mean, yes, you could have had this and not tell me. I don't need to know your medical history.
It seems more the case. It seems more like the case that Tsonga just never shared this information, which actually is interesting because what it then does is it points the question to,
was he the underachiever that everybody thought he was?
Yes, exactly. Or has he overachieved in light of having a lifelong disease? Because
right,
that you have it as a child, and how it plays over the course of your life is, however you manage it. So I think it's interesting that we never received this information from his team, and that we're now learning of it now.
Well, actually, he's saying that he only found out about this 5 years ago, which is
but even 5 years ago, that's something you would have shared, right?
Well, yes, but you see, this is why I'm getting rather confused, because people who have sickle cell disease / sickle cell anemia cannot function at the level that a professional athlete is, because what sickle cell basically is speaking about your sickle shape red blood cells, which stops the ability to fight off diseases and illness. So basically you get really ill. It can be managed, but it cannot be cured. Yep. So when he is playing at this very high level and lives in gyms and in the sporting arena, I just thought it was just like, you sure you have sickle cell disease and not like anemia, sickle cell, the trait, because the trait would probably explain why he's so successful. But nonetheless, what is most surprising about this story is not just about we not hearing it, but it's just that you were diagnosed 5 years ago. This is something that should have been noted from childhood. Like, you can't miss sickle cell disease. Or having sickle cell trait.
Yeah, something you
can't miss it. This isn't something you find in adulthood.
No, it's usually diagnosed early on.
Right, because you would have been sickly as a child.
Yep.
And someone would have run a test. And I mean, generally,
you know what? Maybe we can't actually count on this because this is a French player, probably speaking in a French translation.
That's what I'm wondering.
I think we should hold off on assuming that it's actually that it's been labeled correctly. I would wait.
I said that to Janina yesterday. And the other thing too that we should be noted is that sickle cell was such a problem, and it's supposedly so far, mostly it's affect. I think I might be wrong. I might be new study, but it affects mostly Black people.
Yeah.
People of, and they're saying Hispanic people as well, but I mean that's Black people still. But you know, but the interesting thing is that in the past, like sickle cell disease and the traits was such a problem that married couple had to have blood tests. That this was something that they always checked for. And there's another disease that they often checked for, that you couldn't get a marriage license without the situation. And again, I said, even if his parents weren't married, I don't know the situation
well,
there.
Also, the other thing is, the thing to note, though, is the U.S. has been comfortably checking for sickle cell in children when they're born. But the French have only been doing it since 1985.
And let me see something.
They've only been screening for it apparently since 1985 in France and in any of the colonies.
If it's in France, it's not a colony, it's a overseas department, please.
Yes, dependencies. I mean, listen, let's call
department. It's not a thing. You said what year? You said
85.
1985.
He was born in 1985.
Well, so there you go.
But they probably didn't do it then. They only started doing
it. But it would. But like I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. Something they would have checked though.
Yeah, we understand. We understand your larger point. But what I'm just saying is, you can't presume that the way that the French approached it was the way the Americans approached it.
Okay. Yes.
That part. So, but I'm actually going to hold out until I get fuller information about this, because, like I said, he's French. He gives this interview in French. I don't know exactly what that term is. Maybe he's just saying he's a carrier. I don't know.
Which is having the traits.
Yeah, we definitely need more information.
Yeah, because it's a combination. Well, no, it's not a combination because his mother would have not had it unless she's something we don't know. But generally, yes, it was something that they checked. But good to know.
Well, I mean, what you're getting at really is, it's highly unlikely that a person with this disease would be a professional athlete. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation, I think, because we have to understand what a red blood cell actually does, and that's what carries our oxygen. And what is the most vital part of being an athlete, right, is how and that's what helps in muscle recovery, and
also it fights off diseases and illnesses.
Well, not only that, but you have to understand that the disease is named for the shape of the red blood cell. Red blood cells are typically round.
Am I right about that?
And they're called sickle cell because they're shaped like little sickles, and they look like C's. So therefore they get stuck in places that they should not. And you have a higher risk of stroke. I mean, it comes along with all kinds of things. And there's something about the
soreness, swelling of muscles,
Well, those are not. But if you're traditionally aligns with an athlete performing at a very high level.
Correct. That's the thing. So I mean, that's very. So it's going to be interesting as we get more information, and it has the potential to completely change the story of Tsonga's career. Like Andreen was saying, is this a person who has performed really, really well with a disease that typically you wouldn't be able to do that with, whereas we've always kind of seen him as somewhat of maybe of an
right. And if this is the case,
the thing is, somebody Black, ask him about it, okay? Or do some research on sickle cell, so that when you next get him in a press conference, which won't actually be here because he's not coming to Indian Wells and probably will not then show up to Miami. So he'll be doing this. So someone with some press credentials, ask him to really define
that. Tsonga, come on our podcast. Bring your doctor. Let's have a chat.
That'd be fine. But I'm just saying, I think it could be an opportunity for people to really understand. Remember, sickle cell is one of those things that people really, really, really worked hard to get the public to understand that disease, because it disproportionately affected our community, which meant nobody cared.
And in the past, you didn't have a long life. Like you were in pain constantly, and you.
Yeah, so it's a big story if it is actually true. So I think let's not just casually throw that out for a topic of discussion and use that as a rationale for why he's skipping Indian Wells. That can't be the way that we're going to talk about it. Like, there's got to be
no. For sure, we need some more.
You know what I mean? It's got to be meatier than that, because that means that there are reasons why he would be ill all his life, or it's just incomplete. So, anywho, that's a weird thing to throw out in a conversation because of sickle cell. That's really
right.
Really?
Like, hey, like I've been. So remember that time that you beat my ass? Sickle cell, bitch. Sickle
Well,
cell.
Oh my God. All right.
I think that was it. I mean, I think there's only this. I don't think there was much news that we missed. I think the only thing that we missed briefly before we left was, I think the last time was the shuttering of a tournament and having it moved to Asia, which is the Connecticut Open, which Venus used to win quite a bit, apparently.
Mm-hmm. And
And
Lindsay
then,
used to show up.
yeah, and then Petra comfortably made it her own tournament for a while. But
She was like,
apparently,
I'm going to show up here, but not at the US Open.
yeah, I think now it's been moved to China. Which probably might also happen to the New York Open tournament if they don't get more bodies in those seats, because that was a tournament that moved from Memphis, right? To it's
Right.
hard. It's hard.
It
We
used to be, and it
could
used to be
talk
fun
about
there.
it a little bit and about how you know, we did mention it moving, but the conversation that we had privately that we said we were going to bring here was, you know, there it feels like lots of things are leaving America, but they're not. It's the smaller tournaments. There are still quite a few pretty big ones. I mean, we have Miami, we have Indian Wells, we have Cincinnati. We have 3 Masters 1000 series, and we have the US Open. That's pretty stinking big.
Yeah.
So it's the lower level stuff that seems to be going away. And you know, you were saying because maybe the market's just not here for that anymore.
But
Which,
also, but I mean,
I think it is. However, what's interesting is that so without going down this big huge rabbit hole about all these changes in the ATP, I think if we actually added some more tournaments at that level, our so-called pathway from the challenger level to the main tour level might be a little more clear and easier to get to. But we're so focused on the big stuff. And I don't know that if it were done right, I don't know. I think that people probably look at the lower level tournaments as more of a money pit situation. But if it was marketed properly and we actually paid attention to the people on the lower half of the tour, it could be better, you know, because we do this in other sports. We talk about the good people who play college ball in every other sport.
Yeah, we
always focus on them, but we don't focus on them in tennis. But you know, we've got college draft day for football. We've got combines that players go to. We've got, you know, NBA draft. We do all these things for other college athletes. So why aren't we doing this for tennis athletes and making the transition from amateur to pro bigger? And then when people but see, hear me out. So then when you have these players playing at a challenger level or playing at a 250, it's more exciting because you actually know who you're going to see. We like to go to big tournaments because we know the names. Names sell seats. So why aren't we propping up these young potential future stars outside of you have to be in the top 100 and get to the next gen tournament a week before, you know, London? I mean, there's so many different things that we could do to make it better and to make it more marketable. It doesn't have to be shit.
Well, there are 2 things I want to say, and I mentioned one earlier, but as you were saying here, I do think that we have to marketing, I think, is key. Also, tennis is a very niche sport, and it's not as big even on the pro level as a basketball, etc. We have to understand that basketball and those type of sports, because we may follow lower level basketball, but we don't really care about lower level hockey, right?
Nobody follows lower level basketball either. They don't. We follow
when I said
no, because there are leagues underneath the NBA. There are like the D leagues in hockey as well, where they pull players to almost like the college. From what I'm talking about is, so
I think I get
it's
what you're
okay.
saying.
I mean,
I
but
think I
there
get
is
you.
a so
Since
like there's the NBA, and then there's another level, and then there's college.
Yeah,
There is
the
one
minor
stuck in the
leagues.
middle.
The
Nobody's
minor
paying
leagues.
attention to the minor leagues. People are paying more attention to the college
College
level
league,
people
yeah.
jumping up to the NBA. The ones that play in the minor leagues are the players who, yeah, they were good in college or whatever, but then they go play in a league somewhere in Europe. And they do well, and they make a nice life for themselves, but they're not playing in the NBA. And it's almost kind of like they go away and you don't hear about them anymore. That's not, I don't think that's what we need. That's not what I'm saying.
Well, okay, I just want to say that you mentioned the real point I wanted to get at was that you mentioned the Miami, the Cincinnati, the Indian Wells, and US Open. But when we've been to these tournaments collectively, what we have noticed is that one, there's a ton of money in there, and ton of money is being mismanaged specifically because, and they're not making it fan friendly. It just seemed like it's more elite and aloof to the connect to the common fan. So even if they do have these big tournaments here, they're not necessarily they might still lose out. Maybe this is why on the lower level they can't draw people in, because people who can afford to go to tennis, the smaller tournaments, can't really care because they don't get, they're not drawn in on
Well,
the
that's
bigger
what I'm
level.
saying. Let's make it a bigger deal.
Right. So they should probably spend money to push things around. Also, I mentioned this to you, like I think safety might be a thing too, because people might not want to be coming to America and playing these tournaments when people getting shot every and anywhere. There isn't a safe place to be where gun violence hasn't touched people. And I just think that's something we need to be considering that you just went to a challenger event recently, and you said how open it was and things just seem haphazard. And the players speak about this, that even on the challenger circuit, like things are not that, great. But maybe even at the 250 level in America, they're just the same sort of irreverence is given. Maybe in Europe it's just better handled, and there's a much more long established history, place for it, and consideration that they feel safer and much more it's much more
Maybe.
competitive there.
I mean, I guess that's a question that we would have to ask someone who, on tour.
So
I mean, I think Janina makes a fair point though about that transition point and being able to sort of pay attention to who's doing well in certain environments and making that pathway clearer. I think it's always been sad to me that people, like even this 250 right now, the expectation is that in order for it to be thriving, is that you have to have a big name at that tournament. And for a long time, especially on the ATP side, there really were only a very few big names that could really generate enough money to get a tournament into the red, right, or into the black, right? And so I think you set yourself up when you really only have a few names that you think you can leverage to create success in a tournament. So I'm curious about the idea of looking at a model for how you create maybe only certain people are in 250s, but you've done the work to like garner public attention and support of that core group of people who are going to populate the 250 tournament. Do you know what I mean?
Well, also, but really, is it who, or is it just the excitement there?
Well,
because I mean,
it's a combination.
It's a combination.
You need to know.
Okay.
You need to know, right? You need to know who they are.
New York had a decent, a lot of name recognition, I would say.
Some name recognition.
I mean, there was, the Bryan brothers were there. If you don't know shit about tennis and someone says something, you probably know those people if you're any type of a fan. But I mean, there was a lot of people there, I think. I don't know. I don't pay attention to the Benny 250. So I wonder if this was this was a new location, not necessarily
the last tournament, years, yeah.
But I wonder, do they put more effort into getting people there when it's new? I don't know. I have no idea. But like Delray Beach is happening this week. There are quite a few names. Big Nick Kyrgios is playing there.
And it's also it also depends, right? I feel like a lot of these things depend on location and timing and how things are connected, right? You've got something like this in New York in the winter. Delray Beach is in the dead of is fantastic in Florida. Right. It's connected to a club. Yeah. There's a whole tennis community and culture there. Not to say that there isn't one in Long Island, but not in the dead of winter.
No, and it's not easy to get to. I mean,
yeah, it's not.
Yeah. And so I think all of those things need to go.
It all matters.
And the other thing too is traditionally who people think about when they think about tennis tournament is they think about people who play tennis. That's been the base of the tennis marketing for years. But we've got to get out of this model that you have to play tennis and you have to be part of a tennis world to come and attend a tennis match.
Right.
And the fact that we've not moved away from that. Every single time I say I go to a tennis tournament, a stranger will be like, "Oh,
do you play?"
We talked about it.
I know, but it's like I go to a football. If I go to a football game, are people running around going, "Do you play football?" It's also a sport to be watched. Do you know what I mean?
It's no one ever. We get crazy for figure skating every single Olympics and gymnastics. They're like, "Can you do a backflip?
Can you do a triple axel?"
No one asked that. We just let it go. It's just like, as a fan.
Yeah, but I think it tells you a lot about sort of the groundwork that is involved in tennis. Is the assumption that
having a New York Open in Long Island is not going to help that vibe. It's not going to change that vibe.
And I also think you might have to, similar to the way we approach World Tour finals, it's like you may have a tournament for several years, and then the market, you feel like you've sort of gone as far and as deep as you can with the market that exists there, and then you might have to move a tournament somewhere else. I feel like there's some cities in the US that might be dying for a tennis tournament, like someplace like a Chicago or something like that. And so we don't necessarily think in terms of like, well, maybe we just move from market to market. And also it seems to me that we're quicker to move a tournament that's not doing well in terms of like people in the stand from here, as opposed to Asia, where we think that we're building something. Like it'll be empty in the stands, but there's this perception of, we're building.
I was about to ask that question, right?
We're building, right?
Right. But over here, I wonder if tennis does an actual, because I don't know if this is true, right? But I wish someone can help me and in the outer tennis web. Do tournaments actually actively court an audience, that they actually go out and seek people, not just by selling tickets, but just like, we're trying to get any
long range campaign that you have to engage with, I think, all year
right.
round.
And I mean, I'm just gonna say this because it's Black History Month and it's Blackity Black. People reach out to the people of color community. They will bring excitement.
But wait a minute, what sport does that?
But I mean, hey,
honestly,
you know what? They don't have to, because it's who plays it. There's a natural link, right? There's a natural link. We know that but you know what?
They actually do. I mean, they actually do because we know about it. And you want to go see LeBron James play, and you want to go see, yes, the names get you there.
I feel like they do sports. I mean, like,
they do stuff.
When you say they do, what do you mean? They advertise it?
They advertise it, but they go, all right, along with your ticket, you get $1 hot dogs. Along with your ticket, you get $1 beer night. Along with your ticket, you get free t-shirts. I mean, they do that in every sport. You ain't getting shit for free at tennis. Nothing.
Which is crazy seriously. Because tennis got tons of shit going on in it.
Because you go to a tennis tournament, they might have USTA night and they'll give you a cup of fruit.
Not anymore. Not even.
Right. You've got military day, and they're going to give you $3 off that $500 ticket. I mean, they don't do that stuff.
That's really changed. I mean, it's interesting because the USTA stuff has really changed. I think I remarked on that in the piece that I wrote about how, as a USTA member, you used to get discounts for the US Open tickets, and now, I mean, once they took that away, I just eliminated my membership.
What's the point?
But because you're thinking to yourself,
don't you want Katrina Adams' newsletter?
No, but the funny thing about it is, again, this is the nature of the way they manage that program and that whole USTA piece. The assumption is that you're a player. It's so silly. It's so silly to me that you wouldn't have someone come on board as just a member supporting tennis, the growth of a thing they like. Right. So if I'm not going to play in a league, there's no reason for me to join the USTA, right? And if you take away one of the benefits, which was ticket discounts, then there's absolutely no reason for me to do it. So you have to begin to think about what is the purpose of the USTA beyond creating an environment for people to play tennis. It could also be a space for you to create a love and appreciation of tennis as a sport.
Yeah, let's treat our fans nice.
Or something like that. But I mean, it's very different. But
we're here to help.
I do think that we're impatient with a tennis tournament in certain spaces in terms of bodies and seats. And so, you know, you start to look around at a tournament and you're like, there's not enough people here. You start looking and you're like, the clock's ticking on how long this city's going to have this.
Yeah, but you know what? A lot of that is
money
because, the money's not well spent to begin with. And if you can't fill them seats, then you don't recoup your costs from putting on the damn tournament. Right. Now, at a lower level event, I don't know how much they're putting into it to begin with, but that's not a conversation for right now and one that we've had in the past. But you have to be able to fill them seats. You have to, because if you don't have asses in the seats, you don't have anybody buying concessions and drinks.
But then why are other countries allowed to absorb that loss then?
Well, we also know that it costs more to attend tennis here in the States than it does in other places.
I think I might not be right, but I think in America, I think we had a discussion some time ago, but in America, sports is not federally funded. Mm-hmm. It's all through private equity.
Exactly. That's
part of the problem, right? Even on the Olympic level.
Yeah, it should be something that
even on the Olympic level. So there isn't like state fund money.
Dirty secret.
So that's part of it. So people when a tournament or anything exists, dollars and cents matter, and it's going to be upfront, and people have budget, and they want to see where money is being spent and how it's being spent. Yeah. However, I do think that I do wonder that, you know, there should be, so you don't get a sense of like, I do know in France, like all tennis coach or people part of a club, the club have some tickets that's being given out. So every year at the French Open, there's a bunch of children from all over France who are at the US at the French Open for free,
and
enjoying themselves. And they're ball kids.
So look at how
it's spreading the enthusiasm.
But look at how the French attend their local tournaments.
Right.
Throughout the week, you'll have some tournament in some tiny little French town, and it's still full. You can't ask for the same thing in the US.
No, you cannot. Cleveland definitely had that issue at the Challenger, right?
Yeah. No, I mean,
Janina, Friday made a complete difference as opposed to Thursday and Wednesday. Yeah. And you had a whole bunch of kids home from school. And I was just like, bring these children there.
It's a disconnect. It's a real disconnect. But see, this is what happens when you place tennis wholly within a capitalist model and a framing. You end up with a tournament being shuttered because, hey, there are not enough bodies here. But then
and no one is thinking about the intrinsic good of it, right? It's just like, can I see the money? Profit over people.
Show the
money. As said by Sisyphus, show me the money. Show me the money.
That's right. That's a good place to end.
It is a good place to end. Let's also end on the positive note, which was the Monfils win.
Wakanda forever. And Wakanda saluted all the way around the court to all the people.
I'm loving that he's loving that.
You know what was great about it? Because I can always find a place to shade Novak. I was like, this is
giving the love.
This is not giving the love. This is what he wants to do because he's feeling it.
And it's a personal affirmation. It ain't about you.
But it's beyond personal though. It's a personal one, but it also is shared. So we now understand. We understand it too. You giving me the love has no connection to anything else but you.
Because when I see you, you're not doing anything lovely.
If the U.S. Open wants to do a Wakanda Gail Monfils forever, Mirage, what is it called? What's the word? You know, because they had that big mural. They had the big, remember that you took a picture of it in front of it. Remember, Andreen? I'll never forgive you for that.
No.
Listen, we can put Monfils there with his arms crossed. I'm fine with that.
We've established that whenever tennis try to draw people, don't come out right. Leave that. Take pictures. Photograph.
Well, we'll be good. I mean, it's fine. We just want to celebrate Monfils' really good week. It doesn't mean that we're expecting him to turn up next week and do the exact same thing. We've all been Monfils' fans for a long time. So let's just respect what.
And we know how to savor the win. We know how to savor one win. Take it for a long time.
This will take us till next year, bitches.
I'm telling you. I mean, as a Venus fan, We hold on to 2000. We hold, that is our talisman.
Venus has more wins to offer you, so let's just call
That is true. But I mean, yeah, it's been a while. It's been a long while.
Anyway, it was a fun Saturday morning to get up and see a good win. It was good. It was good to have tennis on my TV.
And kids playing well. So let's not forget Nishikori is still around. You know what I mean? He's slugging it out for Tokyo 2020.
My dream final between Monfils and Nishikori, but
I know.
because that would have been fire. But you know what? A win over Stan is as powerful.
I'm telling you, the right Swiss to win over. I mean,
true.
It's just terrible.
Anyway, it's been lovely, y'all. I feel like we caught everybody up on all the
and we covered our agenda, and looking for the comment section, and people don't think we're hating on Osaka, which is
listen.
We're excited about Osaka. Osaka is excited about anything.
Bye.
At a good level. So you're a mess.
All right. So yeah, we are gonna be back soon.
Yeah,
when?
You know when
we're
back, we all know.
We'll have a quick one next week from maybe Acapulco.
Yeah, because somebody's gonna be in Acapulco. Yeah, I forgot about that.
We follow the tournament wherever it goes. The ladies are now in Dubai, and then Federer will be back in Dubai the following week. So we'll most likely have a.
Are you sure they're not happening at the same? I'm almost sure the tournament.
No. Remember, they go in sequence.
Are you
sure? Yes, they don't have it at the same time.
Yes, Cordell. Or Realz. Bye.
She just blew up your spot. You're gonna have to delete that.
I don't even know how to do that anymore.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Night,
anyway, thank you, people, and happy Black History Month. Let's hope there's no more drama. That's good. We never do over in June and July,
shit, folks.
And Wakanda forever. I mean,
Wakanda forever.
Black Panther for Best Picture for Oscar. Our Oscar is done.
Oh God.
End it.
I stopped doing that with the color purple, so we're done.
Oh wow, girl. She went way back.
She went way back. Hot damn. All right.
We know she holds on to a grudge though. She holds on.
Listen, my behind is long. I'm like Deb. All right, y'all. Bye.
Have a good night.